let me tell you something that is going to make you very uncomfortable. Everyone out there is telling you to follow your passion. They tell you to find what you love and you will never work a day in your life. That is a lie. It is a beautiful, comforting lie sold to keep you weak. They sell you this dream because it feels good, because it is easy to consume. But let me ask you a question. When you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and it is pitch black outside, do you feel passionate? When your muscles are screaming, your bank account is empty and nobody is clapping for you, is passion going to drag you out of bed? No. Passion is a feeling and feelings are fickle. They come and go like the wind. What you need is not passion. What you need is obsession mixed with cold, hard discipline. You see, the world does not care about what you are passionate about. The world only rewards what you are willing to suffer for. Ask yourself honestly right now, what are you willing to suffer for? Because if you are only willing to put in the work when you feel inspired, you have already lost. The men who win, the men who actually build lives of substance, they do not wait for inspiration. They manufacture it through action. They step into the fire every single day, regardless of the temperature, because they know that comfort is the quiet assassin of potential. Right now, your future self is watching you. He is staring at you through the corridor of time, and he is begging you to wake up. He is begging you to put down the phone, to stop scrolling through other people's highlight reels, and to start building your own reality. You have this invisible ticking clock hanging over your head, and every second that passes is a second you can never buy back. Not for $1 million, not for all the gold in the world. Time is the only currency that matters, and you are spending yours like a drunken sailor on cheap thrills and temporary dopamine. Listen to me carefully. The gap between who you are right now and who you want to be is bridged by one thing and one thing only: daily, unglamorous, relentless execution. It is not going to happen overnight. It is not going to happen because you watched a motivational video and got fired up for 20 minutes. Motivation is just a spark. It will ignite the engine, Maisuze, but it will not keep the car running. Discipline is the fuel. Discipline is doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. You have to understand that your current situation is a perfect reflection of your past choices. If you want a different reality, you have to make different choices starting today, starting right now. Let me paint a picture for you. People see the champion holding the trophy. They see the entrepreneur selling his company for millions. They see the man walking with his head held high, exuding confidence and quiet power. They see the result and they call it talent. They call it luck. They call it a blessing. But there is something nobody tells you about the winner's podium. It is built on a mountain of invisible work. It is the iceberg principle. The world only sees the 10% that breaks the surface of the water. They marvel at the tip of the iceberg, completely blind to the massive, jagged, dangerous structure hidden in the dark, freezing depths below. That hidden mass, that is the early mornings. That is the late nights. That is the missed parties, the lost friends. The moments of crushing self-doubt where you stare at the ceiling and wonder if any of this is actually going to work. While they sleep, you grind. While they are out looking for shortcuts, you are laying bricks in the dark. You are building a foundation so deep and so wide that when the storms of life finally hit, and trust me, they will hit, your house does not move. You remain unshakable. The invisible work is where your character is forged. It is where you earn the right to be successful. Do you know what it means to grind in the shadows? It means you have to become your own biggest fan when the stands are completely empty. It means you must find validation in the effort itself, not in the applause. Most men today are addicted to the applause. They post a picture of their workout before the sweat even dries because they need the internet to tell them they did a good job. They need a digital pat on the back to feel worthy. Listen to me. If you need applause to function, you will collapse when the silence comes. And the silence always comes. The journey to greatness is a profoundly lonely road. You will walk into rooms where nobody knows your name. And you will have to carry yourself with the quiet certainty of a king in exile. You are working for a crown that only you can see. That requires a level of mental fortitude that most people cannot even comprehend. It requires you to make peace with the boredom of consistency. Excellence is not about grand, dramatic moments. Excellence is doing the mundane, repetitive, boring tasks at a world-class level, day after day, week after week, year after year. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. He has simply learned to fall in love with the process of swinging a hammer, regardless of when the rock finally breaks. I know it feels like nothing is happening. I know you look in a mirror and you do not see the changes yet. You put in a brutal week of work. You sacrifice your comfort and the needle barely moves. Frustration starts to creep in. The enemy of your future whispers in your ear. It says, why bother? It says you are just wasting your time. You might as well go back to being average like everyone else. But trust me on this, that frustration is the toll you must pay on the bridge to greatness. Think about the bamboo tree. You plant the seed, you water it, you fertilize it, and for 5 whole years, you see absolutely nothing. Not a single green shoot breaks the surface of the soil. 5 years of invisible work, 5 years of faith, and then in the 5th year, it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. Did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? You know the answer. It was building its root system in the dark. It was preparing to sustain massive growth. If it had sprouted too early, the slightest wind would have knocked it over. You are building your root system right now. Every time you read instead of watch television, every time you train when you feel exhausted, you are pushing those roots deeper into the earth. You are preparing to hold the weight of the success you are asking for. This brings us to a fundamental law of the universe, the law of readiness. People walk around complaining that they never get an opportunity. They say the system is rigged, the deck is stacked, the man is keeping them down. Let me tell you something. Opportunity is not a rare mythical creature that only visits the chosen few. Opportunity is swirling around you every single day. The problem is not a lack of opportunity. The problem is a lack of preparation. When opportunity knocks on your door, it does not wait for you to get dressed. It does not wait for you to tie your shoes or brush your teeth. It demands that you are ready right then and there. Not success, but preparation for success. If you are handed the keys to a Formula One race car today, but you have never learned how to drive a manual transmission, you are going to crash into the wall. The opportunity was there, but the preparation was absent. Your job is not to chase the opportunity. Your job is to build the machine that can capture the opportunity when it finally passes by. You have to become a man of value. You have to sharpen your mind, harden your body, and purify your spirit so that when your moment arrives, you step into it as if you were born for it. Because you were. Ask yourself honestly, if your dream life was handed to you tomorrow, Would you have the discipline to keep it? If you won the lottery of life, would your character be strong enough to manage the sudden weight? Most lottery winners go broke within 5 years. Why? Because they received $1 million blessing with a $10 mindset. Their internal reality could not sustain their external circumstances. The universe will strip you of anything you have not earned the capacity to hold. That is why the struggle is not your enemy. The struggle is your greatest teacher. It is calibrating your nervous system. It is expanding your threshold for stress. You have to study the game when you are not playing. You have to watch the film, analyze the failures, and map out the terrain. This is what separates the 1% from the 99%. The average man prepares for the weekend. The exceptional man prepares for the decade. He is playing a totally different game on a totally different board. You need to immerse yourself in the knowledge of your craft until it becomes second nature. You read the books, you listen to the mentors. You study the greats who walk the path before you. You do not just consume information, you metabolize it. You turn it into action. You forge it into wisdom through trial and error. Now, pay attention to this. There is a profound difference between being busy and being prepared. Anyone can run on a treadmill and break a sweat, but a treadmill does not take you anywhere. You can burn a lot of calories running in place. You can exhaust yourself without ever moving forward. True preparation is intentional. It is strategic. It requires you to look at your life with brutal, unflinching honesty and identify your weaknesses. Where are you soft? Where are you lazy? Where are you making excuses? You have to attack those areas with zero mercy. You must become your own harshest critic before the world gets the chance to critique you. If you wait for the market to tell you that your skills are obsolete, you are too late. If you wait for the doctor to tell you that your health is failing, you are too late. Anticipate the battle. Train in a heavy vest so that when you take it off for the actual fight, you feel light as a feather. The warrior does not complain about the weight of his sword. He builds stronger arms. You must build stronger arms for the life you are trying to create. Preparation is the ultimate act of self-love. It is the ultimate act of faith. It is you telling the universe, I am doing the work today because I fully expect to win tomorrow. Let us talk about pressure. Most people run from it. They design their entire lives around avoiding discomfort. They want the soft job, the easy relationship, the path of least resistance. But wait until you hear this next part. Pressure is the only thing that creates diamonds. Without it, you are just a lump of coal. Pressure does not change who you are. It simply reveals who you have always been beneath the mask. It strips away the polite smile, the competent talk, the tailored suit, and exposes your raw, unfiltered character. When the walls are closing in and the money is running out, what are your patterns? Do you fold? Do you point fingers? Or do you square your shoulders and lean into the storm? Think about the man who worked the graveyard shift, loading trucks for 5 straight years. Every single night, midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, breaking his back in the freezing cold. He did not complain. He did not feel sorry for himself. He used the silence of the night to listen to audiobooks on business, on leadership, on finance. He used the physical labor to build his mental toughness. The pressure of poverty was crushing, but he did not let it break him. He let it forge him. He allowed the intense heat of his circumstances to burn away all his excuses, leaving nothing but pure, unadulterated resolve. That man understood something critical. He understood that his current environment was not his destination. It was his training ground. And then look at another man. A man handed everything on a silver platter. He gets the inheritance. He gets the family connections. He gets the corner office without earning a single promotion. The first time a real crisis hits his department, what happens? He panics, he blames his subordinates. He collapses under the weight of expectations because his foundation is made of sand. He never went through the fire. He never had to prove his worth to himself in the dark. You see, the universe has a funny way of testing your resolve. Just when you think you have everything figured out, life will throw a wrench into your carefully laid plans. You will lose a client. You will face a sudden betrayal. A massive obstacle will drop right in the middle of your path. How you respond in that specific microsecond determines the entire trajectory of your future. Do you shrink or do you expand? Your default reaction under pressure is a direct reflection of your daily habits in times of peace. If you take the easy way out on a Tuesday afternoon when nobody is watching, you will absolutely take the easy way out when the world is burning down around you. You cannot fake resilience. You must bleed for it. This is why you must voluntarily introduce pressure into your life on a daily basis. You cannot wait for tragedy to strike to find out what you are made of. You have to test the machinery yourself. This is what separates the predators from the prey. The prey seeks comfort and safety. The predator seeks the edge. You step into the freezing cold water. You lift the heavy weight until your arms shake. You have the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. You force yourself to wake up an hour earlier when the bed feels like a magnet pulling you back. Every single time you choose the hard path over the easy path, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are building an internal database of undeniable proof that you are a man who does hard things. Confidence is not some mystical aura that you are born with. True confidence is simply a reputation that you build with yourself. It is a stack of kept promises. When you tell yourself you are going to do something and you actually do it, your brain registers that victory. When the real pressure comes, you do not have to guess if you will survive. You know you will survive because you have survived 1,000 voluntary battles before. The fire cannot destroy you when you are the one who learned how to control the flames. Now stop and think about this. You can have all the pressure-tested resilience in the world, but if you cannot direct your energy, you will still fail. We live in an era where your attention is the most viable currency on the planet. It is not money. Money can be printed. Money can be lost and made again. Your attention, your focus is the modern equivalent of gold. And every single day, the world is trying to rob you blind. You wake up and immediately hand over your mental gold to a glowing screen. You give it to the news, to the drama, to the endless noise of a society designed to keep you distracted. You have to build what I call the focus fortress. You must guard your mind with the ferocity of a starving dog protecting its only meal. Because without focus, your potential is just a rumor. You scatter your energy in 1,000 different directions, moving an inch in 1,000,000 ways. Instead of moving a mile in one direction, the masters of this universe do not multitask. They lock onto a target. They drown out the noise. And they do not break eye contact until the job is done. Let us talk about the first energy vampire draining your life force right now. Toxic people. Look around your circle. Are the people you spend the most time with feeding your flame, or are they pouring water on your fire? The sad reality is that most people are anchors. They are terrified of their own mediocrity. So the moment they see you trying to elevate, they panic. They will mask their insecurity as concern. They will tell you that you are working too hard, that you need to relax, that your dreams are unrealistic. Cut them off. I do not care if you have known them since you were in the sandbox. If they are not pushing you to be better, if they are not demanding excellence from you, they are a liability. You cannot climb a mountain while carrying dead weight on your back. It is better to walk entirely alone in the right direction than to follow a herd of complacent people walking straight off a cliff. Protect your circle. Demand greatness from the people around you, and if they cannot meet the standard, leave them behind. Your destiny requires a ruthless curation of your environment. Then you have the second vampire, the digital drug. You know exactly what I am talking about. You sit down to work. You hit a moment of slight friction. And what do? Your hand instinctively reaches into your pocket. You pull out the device and you start scrolling. You are trading your future empire for 3 seconds of cheap dopamine. You are watching other men live out their dreams while you are slowly suffocate in the corner of your mind. Do you know what that means? It means you have surrendered control of your own nervous system to algorithms designed by engineers who do not know you and do not care about you. They want you addicted. They want you passive. A passive man is an easy man to control. You must break the chains, turn the notifications off, put the phone in another room. When you sit down to execute, you execute. You do not check your messages. You do not check the scores. You declare war on distraction. You make your work environment so brutally boring that the only possible source of stimulation is the task in front of you. And here is the third vampire, perhaps the most deadly of them all, the opinions of other people. Let me tell you a secret that will set you free. The people whose opinions you are so terrified of, they are not even thinking about you. They are too busy worrying about what you think of them. You are paralyzing your own progress out of fear of being judged by people who have not even achieved what you want to achieve. Why are you taking financial advice from broke people? Why are you taking life advice from people who are miserable? If they are not in the arena getting their faces marred by dust and sweat and blood, their opinions hold zero weight. Let them boo from the cheap seats. The cheap seats are always the loudest because they require the least amount of effort to sit in. You are not playing for their approval. You are playing for the approval of the man in the mirror. When you finally stop caring about the whispers of the crowd, a massive reservoir of energy unlocks inside of you. You stop performing for the world and you start building for yourself. Once you have built your focus fortress, once you have eliminated the vampires, what do you do with that pure concentrated energy? You enter the growth cycle. It starts with the first phase, learning. But I am not talking about the passive memorization you did in school. I am talking about aggressive, targeted acquisition of knowledge. Your output will never exceed the quality of your input. If you are consuming mental junk food, you will produce garbage results. You must curate your inputs like a king curating his royal feast. Read the dense material. Study the complex systems. Listen to the men who have actually built empires, not the ones who just talk about it on the internet. You must approach learning with the humility of a white belt and the hunger of a starving lion. Assume you know nothing. Assume every person you meet knows something you desperately need to learn. Strip away your ego. Ego is the enemy of acquisition. When you think you have arrived, when you think you know it all, that is the exact moment your growth stops and your slow death begins. But learning without application is worse than ignorance. It is an illusion of progress. This brings us to the second phase of the cycle, application. Here is where most men fail. They read 100 books, they listen to 1,000 podcasts, and their lives look exactly the same as they did 5 years ago. They are bloated with theory and starved of execution. Let me introduce you to the 1% law. For every 1 unit of time you spend learning, you must spend 99 units of time applying that knowledge. You do not need to read another book on fitness. You need to go pick up the heavy iron. You do not need another course on sales. You need to pick up the phone and make the cold call. Application is messy. It is awkward. You will stumble. You will sound foolish. And you will make mistakes. Good. That means you are in the game. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes actual power the moment it crosses the threshold of your mind and enters the physical world through action. Do not be a professional student of life. Be a practitioner. Once you take action, you move into the third and fourth phases. Evaluation and correction. You threw the punch. Now you have to look at where it landed. You must step back from the emotion of the grind and look at the cold, hard data of your life. Set a weekly review. Every single Sunday, you sit down in silence with a pen and paper. You ask yourself the brutal questions. Did I hit my targets this week? If not, why not? Was I lazy? Was my strategy flawed? Did I let my emotions dictate my actions? You cannot fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. You must become a forensic investigator of your own failures. This is where you pivot. Pivoting is not quitting. Quitting is walking away when the pain gets too high. Pivoting is adjusting the angle of your attack because the wall is too thick. You do not change the ultimate goal. You simply change the vehicle you are using to get there. Only a fool keeps running headfirst into a brick wall, expecting it to turn into a door. The wise man takes a step back, finds a sledgehammer, and creates his own door. The final phase of the growth sequence is where the legends are born. Persistence, not success, but the capacity to endure the delay of success. You have learned, you have applied, you have evaluated, you have corrected your course. Now you must repeat that cycle again and again and again. One day you will look back, not tomorrow, not next week. Today you will look back at this exact moment when you decided to stop negotiating with your weakness. Persistence is not a glamorous quality. It does not make for a viral highlight reel. It is the quiet, grinding, unsexy reality of waking up on a cold Tuesday morning, feeling absolutely exhausted, and choosing to do the work anyway. It is the understanding that the universe is testing your resolve. The universe wants to know if you actually want the prize, or if you just like the idea of the prize. Anyone can sprint for a mile. Anyone can be great for a week. But can you be great for a decade? Can you hold the line when the initial excitement fades and you are left with nothing but the brutal reality of the daily grind? I know you are tired of waiting. I know it feels like you are pushing a massive boulder up an endless hill. And every time you stop to take a breath, it rolls back over you. But this is the secret. You do not conquer the hill by waiting for a surge of motivation to make you feel lighter. You conquer the hill by building systems that make the weight irrelevant. We are moving away from the myth of motivation entirely. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It is there when the sun is shining, when the coffee is strong, and when you got 8 hours of perfect sleep. But where is motivation when your car breaks down, your bank account is overdrawn, and you have a fever of 101? Motivation abandons you. Discipline is the loyal soldier that stays by your side in the darkest trenches. Discipline does not care how you feel. Discipline only cares about what must be done. If you want to build a life of absolute freedom, you must first surrender to a life of absolute routine. Systems beat moods every single time. Let me break down exactly what that system looks like. It begins before the sun even thinks about rising. The 4 in the morning wake up. Why 4 in the morning? It is not just about having more hours in the day. It is about claiming a psychological victory over yourself before the rest of the world has even opened its eyes. When that alarm goes off in the pitch black, your brain is going to scream at you. It will negotiate. It will offer you 1,000 perfectly logical reasons why you should hit snooze. In that microsecond, a war is being fought for the trajectory of your entire life. When you throw the covers off, put your feet on the cold floor, and stand up, you have won the first battle of the day. You have proven to yourself that your conscious will is stronger than your primitive desire for comfort. You own the morning. You own the day. You drink the water. You move the body. You sweat. You read. You lock your mind into a state of aggressive readiness. By the time the rest of society is groggy, pouring their first cup of coffee, you have already built an empire in the shadows. You must establish a framework of non-negotiables. These are not suggestions. These are not things you try to get to if you have free time. These are the absolute pillars of your daily existence. You draw a line in the sand and you say, no matter what happens today, no matter what crisis hits, no matter how tired I am, these 3 things will get done. Maybe it is 100 push-ups. Maybe it is reading 10 pages of a complex book. Maybe it is 50 cold calls for your business. Whatever your non-negotiables are, they must be executed with religious devotion. When you treat your daily tasks as non-negotiable, you remove the heavy burden of decision fatigue. You do not have to wake up and decide if you are going to work out. The decision was already made weeks ago. You are simply following the script that your highest self wrote for you. This is how you build an ironclad self-esteem. You build it by proving to yourself daily that your word is absolute law. When your internal word becomes law, your external reality has no choice but to bend to your will. Stop looking at your life in terms of decades right now. That is too much to process. You need to shrink the timeline. You need to operate in 90-day sprints. 90 days is long enough to see a massive, undeniable transformation, but it is short enough to create a burning sense of urgency. I want you to pick one massive, terrifying goal, just one. And for the next 90 days, I want you to violently eliminate anything that does not move you closer to that target. You put the blinders on, you go dark, you do not go out on the weekends, you do not binge watch television. You enter a state of complete and total monk-like isolation regarding your mission. You track every metric. You measure every outcome for 90 days. You treat your life like a high-performance military operation. If you can string together 4 90-day sprints of pure, unadulterated focus, you will not even recognize the man staring back at you in the mirror next year. You will have built a machine capable of destroying any obstacle in its path. But here is where the weak break. They do the 90-day sprint. They put in the heavy work and they expect to be handed the crown immediately. They lack what I call strategic patience. You must understand the law of seasons. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. You cannot plant a seed in the dead of winter and scream at the soil because you do not have fruit the next day. Right now, many of you are in your winter. It is cold, it is dark. The ground is frozen hard, and it feels like absolutely nothing is growing. You are putting in the work, but the results are invisible. Winter is not a punishment. Winter is a necessity. Winter is when the weak things die off. Winter is when your character is hardened. You must respect the season you are in. You do not stop watering the ground just because it is snowing. You keep tending to the soil. You keep refining your skills. You keep preparing because spring is coming. And when spring finally breaks, the seeds you planted in the icy darkness will erupt into a harvest so massive it will shock everyone who counted you out. The master skill of the modern world is delayed gratification. We live in an instant society. Instant food, instant entertainment, instant communication. We have been conditioned to believe that if something takes a long time, it must be broken. That is a poverty mindset. Wealth, true wealth, whether it is physical, mental, or financial, is always the result of a long, sustained delay of pleasure. You have to learn to fall in love with the wait. You must look at that piece of junk food or that video game or that comfortable couch, and you must say to yourself, I am choosing the pain of discipline today so I do not have to experience the pain of regret tomorrow. Every time you deny yourself a cheap, temporary pleasure, you are making a massive deposit into your future bank account. You are training your brain to understand that the ultimate reward is located at the end of the marathon, not at the first mile marker. The men who rule this world are the men who can hold their breath the longest. They are the men who can work the longest without needing a pat on the back or an immediate payout. Let me give you the brutal timeline reality so you can stop living in a fantasy world. It takes 3 months of relentless daily execution just to build the foundation. 3 months just to rewire your neurochemistry and break the gravitational pull of your old lazy habits. During those first 3 months, you will see almost nothing. The world will not care. At 6 months, you will start to see the changes. You will feel stronger. Your mind will be sharper. Your bank account might start to show a little life. The people closest to you will notice something is different, but it is not until 12 solid months of unbroken disciplined focus that the actual transformation occurs. 12 months is the forge. That is when the external world is forced to recognize the new reality you have constructed. Most men quit at month 2. They quit at day 59 because it got too hard and they did not see the sports car in the driveway yet. They trade 12 months of temporary discomfort for a lifetime of permanent mediocrity. Do not be that man. As you push through these seasons, as you grind through the timeline, you must become obsessed with feedback. Blind effort is dangerous. Running at full speed in the wrong direction will only get you lost faster. You must build measurement systems into your daily life. What gets measured gets managed. If you want to lose weight, you must track the calories. You must step on the scale. You must log the workouts. If you want to build wealth, you must know exactly what is coming in and exactly what is going out down to the single penny. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Men love to operate in the gray area because the gray area is safe. It is ambiguous. You can tell yourself you are doing your best when you are actually slacking off. You must shine a blinding spotlight on the hard numbers of your life. Numbers do not care about your feelings. Numbers do not make excuses. They offer you the cold, hard, objective truth about your daily performance. Embrace the numbers. Let them insult you. Let them anger you. Then let them guide you to the necessary corrections. This brings us to what I call the mirror test. Every night before you close your eyes, you must look yourself dead in the eye and ask a simple question. Did I win today? Did I give everything I had? Or did I negotiate with my weakness? Do not look for a comfortable middle ground. Do not tell yourself you did okay. It is a binary equation. You either won the day or you lost the day. If you made excuses, if you skipped a workout, if you let distractions steal your focus, you lost. Acknowledge it. Do not hide from the shame of a wasted day. Let that discomfort burn inside your chest. Let it keep you awake for a few minutes so that when the alarm goes off tomorrow, you are hungry for redemption. The men who achieve true greatness are not perfect. They lose days just like everyone else. The difference is they never lose 2 days in a row. They run a course correction protocol immediately. If they falter on a Tuesday, Wednesday becomes an absolute masterclass in execution. They do not allow a single mistake to turn into a permanent habit. You must understand that consistency is a momentum game. Think of your life like a massive, heavy flywheel made of solid iron. Right now, that flywheel is sitting completely still. To get it to move even a single fraction of an inch requires an immense amount of effort. You push with all your might. You sweat. You strain. And it barely budges. The average observer looks at you and thinks you are a fool. They see how much energy you are expending for such a tiny, insignificant result. But you do not stop pushing. You show up the next day and you push again. You do it the day after that. Slowly, the flywheel begins to complete a single toe, then 2 turns, then 10. Then something magical happens. The weight of the flywheel starts working in your favor. It begins to generate its own forward momentum. It starts spinning faster and faster, turning into an unstoppable force. Now you do not need to strain to keep it moving. You just give it a gentle push every single day to maintain the speed. That is the compound effect in action. Let me give you the exact mathematical truth of this principle. If you improve yourself by just 1% every single day for an entire year, do you know where you end up? You do not end up 37% better. Because of the law of compounding, you end up 37 times better than where you started. 1 to the power of 3,665 equals 37.78. That is the power of the incremental gains. Small, seemingly insignificant choices accumulate over time into a massive avalanche of success. But here is the terrifying flip side that nobody talks about. If you get 1% worse every single day, if you let your discipline slip by just a tiny fraction day after day, you compound yourself almost all the way down to zero. 99 to the power of 365 equals 0. 3. You do not destroy your life in one tragic moment. You destroy it slowly, day by day, through the quiet accumulation of neglected duties and tiny compromises. To keep that flywheel spinning, you must learn how to handle the inevitable plateaus. There will come a time in your journey where you are doing everything right. You are waking up early, you are eating clean, you are putting in the work, but your progress completely flattens out. You hit a wall. This is the exact moment where 90% of people quit. They assume that because they do not see immediate progress, what they are doing is no longer working. They stop pushing the flywheel. What they do not realize is that a plateau is not a dead end. A plateau is a gathering period. It is the universe consolidating your gains before allowing you to lift to the next level. It is a test of your faith. When you are on a plateau, the work you do does not show up in the results immediately. It is being stored up. You are building potential energy. If you maintain your discipline, If you keep swinging the hammer against the exact same spot on the rock, you will eventually break through. The plateau will shatter and you will experience a sudden massive surge of growth. You will know momentum is building when your old life starts to feel completely foreign to you. You will look at the things that used to bring you comfort, the late nights, the junk food, the mindless entertainment, and you will feel a sense of profound detachment. You will find yourself craving the friction of the grind. You will look forward to the early morning cold. You will welcome the difficulty of a complex project. That is the sign that your identity has shifted. You are no longer an average man trying to act disciplined. You have become a disciplined man whose natural state is excellence. When success becomes your identity, you no longer need external motivation. You do not need an inspirational speech to get you moving because your daily actions are a direct expression of who you are. A lion does not need a motivational speech to hunt. It hunts because it is a lion. You will execute your routine because it is simply what you do. It is woven into the very fabric of your character. This is the ultimate breakthrough. You transform your pursuit of success from a temporary destination into a permanent lifestyle. It becomes an emotional elevation. You begin to operate at a higher frequency. You carry yourself with an aura of unshakable confidence that cannot be faked. When you walk into a room, people can feel the weight of your discipline before you even open your mouth. They can see it in your posture, in your eyes, in the deliberate way you move. You have earned the right to be there. You have paid the price in full in the dark, where nobody was watching. You are no longer chasing titles or money or status. Those things have become the natural byproducts of your personal evolution. Your only competition is the man you were yesterday. Your only goal is to see how far you can push the limits of your own human potential. You become obsessed with the art of continuous refinement, constantly searching for the small edges that will elevate your game by another single %. Look down the road of your life right now. Visualize the two distinct paths stretching out before you. The first path is the path of least resistance. It is wide, it is smooth, and it is incredibly easy to walk down. It is the path you are currently on. Whenever you choose comfort over discipline, if you stay on this path 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will wake up in the exact same position you are in today, except you will be older, you will be heavier, your pockets will be emptier, and your spirit will be broken. You will be forced to look at the wreckage of your unfulfilled potential. You will have to live with the heaviest weight a man can ever carry. The crushing, suffocating weight of regret. Regret for the risks you did not take. Regret for the hours you wasted. Regret for the man you could have become. If you had only found the courage to stand your ground and fight for your future, it is a slow, agonizing mental prison that you can never escape. Now look at the second path. It is narrow, it is rugged, and it is covered in sharp stones. It goes straight up the side of a steep mountain. To walk this path requires you to bleed. It requires you to sacrifice your comfort, your old friends, your current habits, and your immediate pleasures. It demands everything you have. But let me tell you something. Every single step you take up that mountain makes your legs stronger. Every obstacle you overcome makes your mind sharper. And when you finally reach the summit, when you stand at the peak of your own achievement, you will look down at the world with a sense of profound pride. You will look back at the early mornings, the lonely nights, and the moments of doubt, and you will realize they were the greatest gifts you were ever given. You will have built a life of absolute substance.